Over 2,000 years ago, ancient Chinese scholars observed the changing patterns in our natural world, the climate, the turning of the seasons, and astronomy. The scholars measured and divided the sun's annual movements into 24 equal parts, creating the 24 solar terms, which were used to govern agriculture in ancient China. Even to this day, this invention still guides the lives and traditions of hundreds of millions of Chinese people. Every year, around May 21st, the Xiaoman solar term arrives. Abundant rainwater is essential for a good harvest. The silkworms and cart deities are the symbols of wealth and prosperity, and folks hold cultural activities expressing their gratitude. Lesser fullness, or Xiaoman in Chinese, is the second solar term in summer. While it's getting steadily hotter and wetter, the wheat grains become fuller by the day, but they're nowhere near ripe enough for harvesting yet. The ancient Chinese gave this season its characteristic by calling it Xiaoman, or lesser fullness. In the fertile southeast of China, one of the legends of midsummer is the birthday of the goddess of silk. Well, I'm now in Wujiang, and I'm heading out to a little town on its outskirts. Now, this town has the GDP of an entire city of China. Now that's a huge amount of money when you consider how wealthy China is. How did this happen? Quite simply with the invention of one product, silk. Shengze Town, Wujiang City. This is one of the four most important historical centers of silk in China, and its importance has only grown as it has become a sophisticated production and distribution center. I hear that over 10 billion meters of silk comes from this place every single year. The silk industry holds up the entire local economy. So it's not surprising that the locals worship the creature that makes it all possible, the silkworm. Every year, Shengze Town will put on a 10-day-long opera all about the silkworm. In Shengze, Shen Yingbao is a household name. Specializing in silk production for more than 20 years, the locals consider him an expert in the subject.
那么小满呢，那天呢是禅神雷祖的生日。传说呢，就是雷祖呢是第一个学会养蚕、烧丝、织绸，并且把这种技术教给了大家。因此呢，大家就奉他为我们中国的禅神。那么我们在这个地方演小满戏呢，就是演戏为禅神祝寿。 祝贺他的生日，同时呢，也是庆贺我们自己的产检丰收。
The smoothest and most delicate spun silk is threaded with real gold. Only the most expensive and gorgeous brocade deserves to be dedicated to the silkworm goddess, to thank her for the wealth her worms have brought, this year and through the ages. Shengze's history has been strung together by silk. As early as 5,000 years ago, people planted mulberry trees to feed their silkworms.
蚕宝宝快要上山去剪枝了，这两天呢，正是它吃桑叶吃的最多的时候。
为什么叫蚕宝宝呢？
因为我们呢这里的老百姓啊， 都是靠重商养蚕，发家致富的，
是吧？
啊。那么这个蚕宝宝呢，它非常嫩，非常稚嫩，很容易生病，
是吧？
因此呢，我们要像照顾小孩子一样，照顾宝宝一样的来照顾蚕，所以把它称作叫蚕宝宝。这片桑园很大，
没错，巨大。哇，这
是一家养蚕的人家，
这是人家，
对，
也是在这养
你看
蚕。
今天都关着门，
为什么？
因为这是我们这儿的一种规矩。养蚕季节，因为这个蚕宝宝非常的娇嫩，稍微有一点不好的这个味道，它就不能吐丝，所以呢人员不往来，门都关着。
这里进是吗？
你看这儿就是
你好，你好。在楼下就是养这个蚕是吧？然后在楼上住啊。哇 ，My Lord, look at this, incredible！ 这么一个屋，你这个屋子里你大概有多少个蚕，知道吗？
大概这里有3万多个。
3万多
，3万多
，3万多个。
还能就一直在听到他们吃
商业的声音，能听到。
稍微是的很响的，
沙的，
对，
像雨一样，
像雨声。
那我可以抱一个吗？我的手应该干净的啊。哇 ，look at that！
你看多可爱。
它还得长到大概多么大才成熟呢？
还要扎两
天，它就要吐丝了。
2天，
马上就要吐丝。
吐丝
啊，对。
完了，吐丝也要等多长时间？
吐丝
还要3天。
3天，完了呢？
结成茧子。
就可以了。
啊，对。
然后就把它卖掉。
没有人养蚕，你就不会有丝绸，
是吧？
也不会有好的服装。
对，你们是丝绸的英雄。
对，你给它吃好了。
这一点叶子都吃不了多少时间。
对，可以随便。
Being an Englishman, of course I know about silk, and I knew about the silkworm, but it's quite hard to understand the influence of one little worm on such an incredibly vast country.
This guy is responsible for wars, and on top of that, really, for the first economic boom of China.
Amazing. And there's about 30,000 of them in this room. Once this guy starts to spin a cocoon and the silk comes out, well, that's where the magic happens. But this is where it all starts. A worm.
China's first farming culture involved men ploughing the fields and bringing in the food, and women raising silkworms to produce silk thread for weaving. Silk was one of the earliest animal fibers used in China. It's hard to imagine, more than 2,000 years ago, the Chinese invented a spinning wheel to turn these worms' cocoons into silk thread, and that this craft didn't make it to Europe until the 13th century.
这个是蚕农的最后的产品。
蚕茧。
然后蚕茧呢，采下来之后先要用热水来泡，泡软了之后呢，要把这一层乱丝慢慢的要给它理出来。
就是会等到有这么一条线。
剩下一条线了。
这条线要好细。
好细呀，对，好细。你看，每一根丝其实它下边有好几个茧子，并成一根丝，这里边绕在这个地方，然后呢，这根丝拉过来，顶在这里，然后呢，再用脚来踏，让它转起来，要快，那么就，对，就把这个丝慢慢的全部。
明白了。
这个就是烧丝。
这个很了不起。
对。
这么一个东西，它能大概有多么长的丝绸呢？
这么一个茧子， 有1000到1500米长，
能超过1公里。
是。
你像这个虫子要多么辛苦。
是哎。
Wu Jianhua is one of the most famous silk pattern designers in Suzhou. In order to better realize his own design, he needs high quality silk. The highest quality cocoons spun every year will be selected, delivered here to be woven into extremely expensive Song Dynasty style brocade.
IPAC 领导人穿过的，
是吧？
这个丝绸的是我们丝绸的这个服装，
就是因为很舒服，是吧？
对啊，一个老一范，
这个好光啊！
对吧？看到吧，这就是松紧，
这就是松紧，
这叫松紧，对啊。
怎么能看出来是松紧呢？
它的松紧在不同的光线下都会有，你看都会变色，不同的角度都会有不同的颜色。
但如果是这个手工的，这么一件衣服得好几个月呢。
不是好几个月啊。你这一个如果
就是算人的
要做下来的话，那肯定要1年时间。
1年时间。What Mr. Wu has created here is something quite incredible. And when you put it on, you really feel the difference. It's incredible silk. And all this pattern you see on here, this is not something that's added on at the end. It's actually all woven in to the original piece of cloth. So this is painstakingly made.
Silk is one of the most expensive textile materials out there. The most costly is jin, or brocade. This is a brocade machine invented more than 1,000 years ago in the Song dynasty. It needs 2 people to operate. Only 5 or 6 centimeters of Song-style brocade can be woven in one whole day. The workers at one end are responsible for arranging the vertical pattern. Those at the other end need to pick from a variety of threads and shuffle them according to the horizontal pattern. Fine silk passes through this ancient wooden machine and is woven into a beautifully decorated brocade.
When you sit at this machine and you start to understand the complexities of making a piece of cloth with intricate patterns and flowers and birds on, this is an incredibly complex procedure. And a machine like this, it just goes on, and there's another person up there, and when you sit at it, you feel that you're at the helm of an incredibly complex old wooden machine with all these little bits that go up and down, and at my feet, there's like 5 or 6 pedals. To be honest, I don't think I could ever learn to do something as complex as this because I'm not a detailed person. But sitting here, you get to understand, one of these incredible things that China invented, something that completely changed the country.
More than 1,000 years ago, Chinese people created this process from unspooling tiny cocoons and invented this delicate weaving process. It's expensive to make simply because it's such an intricate process. Pulled from a silkworm and made into thread, another use of silk sounds even more expensive and luxurious. The silk quilt. Thousands of years ago, quilt bedding made entirely of silk was fit only for the imperial household. And in this land rich in silk, when local girls got married, their parents would make silk bedding from homegrown silkworms to accompany their daughter on her journey to a new home and family.
这个就是刚刚煮好的那个剪子，
这就是剪子，
要把它剥开。
OK，
对，
需要把这个剥开，
对，
里面是冲子，
里边是一个蛹， 你看
这个，
哎，要把它拿掉，然后
把它拿
呢，
掉
哎，再剥成小棉斗，
然后把它拉开。
拉开，好上。
Once we've got our boiled cocoon, we start to see what happens here. Inside this beautiful cocoon, now it's gone all soft. You can see the poor little silkworms who put in so much effort are right in there. And there's 2 in there. Look at that. Amazing. And then once you get in there, you got to start cleaning out all of the stuff that's in here. And you got to start stretching this silk. This is the very pure form of silk, isn't it? This is basically the cocoon that's been stretched out. And I keep stretching it out until it's long enough. Now I think I've really washed this up, but here we go. Oh, it's not so bad, look at that. So all that effort for one cocoon stretched over here. Now to make one big duvet, well, you're probably talking about more than 1,000 of these. It's a lot of effort, and you can imagine just how hard these ladies have to work. This is silk right here. Beautiful. Silkworm cocoons are individually stretched out and combined into one large reel. After it's dried, this becomes the raw material for making silk quilts.
你看，这儿就是拉蚕丝被的。
哦，
哎，就是把刚才那种棉斗呢，要先把它拉松，然后呢要拉到丝棉被那么大小，就它的长度、它的宽度，这么一层一层拉出来，全部都是用刚刚的那种棉斗来做的。你看，这样包住，慢慢的拉出来，哎，
好几层呢。
啊，好几层，哎，它根据不同的用途啊，它有不同的这个厚度。
These 5-kilogram quilts require up to 8,000 cocoons. Silk quilts are completely handmade. Only after 15 years of experience can these ladies make the silk even enough and soft enough for the job.
就是像一个晕一样，一个小白晕。
对，
在这肯定睡
在白云，
肯定睡得特香。
One tiny Chinese silkworm has taken me on a magical little tour through this solar term. A dress, a quilt, they might look pretty standard stuff, but when you look closely and listen to their past, they can be traced back to a time thousands of years ago when a curious and fairly romantic person found a small cocoon and became impassioned by producing something beautiful. Maybe it is this that the people of Shenzhe have carried through the millennia. Appreciation through worship of the silk goddess, who was the first to bring them such riches at this solar term.